and welcome to a plague-free episode of the Power Gamer Podcast.
Hey, we're back, everybody.
I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by fellow hosts Johnny Paulus and Kim Ponticello. Kim, welcome in.
Thank you.
We'll start with you first as we drain the remainder of whatever battery you're running off of today. We're going to drain the rest of it here over the course of the next hour. How are you doing today?
I may have made a little bit of a miscalculation today. So I've been streaming Skuyll Bones for their event. They have an extension event going on, and you stream every day for at least 2 hours, and you have codes that can be redeemed 200 times, right? For people who want these like cosmetics. And I was like, no big deal. I'll stream a little bit of Fractured Butthole because that's what I've been playing. So I'll stream a little bit of that and then I'll switch over to Skuyll Bones. And I ended up streaming for 8 hours. and Fractured Butthole wore me out. It sounds stupid to say. It sounds so dumb to say, but I can explain more later. It wore me out. And so then I went into Skuyll Bones and had a blast anyway, but I'm also I was streaming Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday today, and now I'm streaming tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday. A little tired.
It's so funny that over the weekend and talking to you, you're like, yeah, you know, I think next week I'm going to take some me time. I'm going to take a couple days off next week. I'm going to take some me time. So usually when Kim's streaming, you know, I have my main work computer that I'm plugging away on all day, but I keep a computer off to the side and my earbuds in so I can listen to people talk and stuff while I'm working. So usually, like, as I'm leaving work, everybody's ending their streams for the day. Goodbye. Have a great day. Goodbye. And, you know, Kim's chugging along and I'm like, well, you know, sometimes she goes like 10 minutes over or whatever. So I drive all the way home from Baltimore. I eat dinner and I come downstairs. So like,
and I'm still there.
Flip on the computer. I'm like, is my fucking internet broken? Like, did it leave up the page from a different day? So I hit refresh and nope, there she is scooting around in her pirate ship still, just murdering everyone in sight, maniacally laughing in like this weird sleep-induced fervor.
It was. I was like, every time I found a ship, I was like,
still going. And then you went for like another 2 hours. So good on you.
Yeah. I was, I definitely put some time in today, but you know what it is? Like I pop on Skuyll Bones and I just don't want to stop. It's so fun.
It's got that strong MMO pull, man, where kind of reminds me of WoW. I was playing some of it this week. We'll get into that. Well, I'm happy to have you here, and hopefully you don't fall asleep on this show before the end. If you do, that'll be fun. We'll see. Johnny Paulus, welcome in, buddy. How are you doing? How you doing?
It's been an annoying fucking week. So Monday, there's something's wrong with our well water again, and we're getting all this like yucky orangish water out of the sink. So we can't do dishes, we can't do laundry. We're like, well, this sucks. Call the water company, have them come out. So they come out and they do their thing, and they're like, all right, it'll reset overnight and the water should be fine in the morning. We're like, all right, cool. Right around dinner time, my wife calls me and says, half of the power is out. What do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean half of the power is out? I mean that some of the things in the house are on and some of them are not. And I'm like, oh, there's just like a breaker's off or something. She's like, no, I've checked the breaker box. Everything's on, but half the house is on and half the house is off. So I have a buddy lend me one of those little testers, like the little, you touch it and it'll glow if you've got juice. And so the first circuit, I get solid. And the next one I get alternating, and the next one I get solid, and the next one I get alternating, and the next one I get solid. So I do some Googling and I figure out, I didn't know this, but in your home, you get 220 volts into the house. So you have one line that's 110. You have another line that's 110. Well, what's happened is that our power provider, something had happened where we were only getting 110. So I had to run extension cords to the fridge so that the food wouldn't go bad. The kids left the house so that they could go stay at the in-laws. Thankfully, one thing that worked fine was my computer. So although I didn't have internet, I just sat here in a cold ass house because the HVAC was down too. And yeah, so then they come back the next day and they hook up a generator and we have power and everything's cool. And we're like, all right, great. We can run the dishwasher. We can do all this shit. We run the dishwasher and the water's even fucking worse than it was before. Like literally like stained our fucking cups and shit with all this orange stuff. So it's been a fucking nightmare. This
that
week has been
explains why I've seen very little of you.
Yeah, this week can fuck right
off. Yeah, so we didn't record last week because 2 reasons. Reason number 1, I had my second bout of everyone's favorite viral sensation, COVID-19.
My corona.
Thank you, Cardi B. Thank you. I had the coronavirus. Everyone in my house did, actually. And that felt like a month of my life, even though it was only about a week. It's weird how that works. So we didn't record last week. I had coronavirus. That was one reason. The second reason was because I threw the ball to our co-hosts here, who collectively decided that if I was not present, that they would still be recording last week's episode.
It's absolutely
100%.
true.
Apparently,
100%.
my ringleading abilities, I learned, are quite good, and they need me. So,
yeah, boss, I'm not gonna be able to come in. You don't understand. I'm in the middle of an 8-hour tangent on a podcast. I gotta go. Maybe I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Tippity tappity. Hey, everybody. Sorry, stream is canceled today. Johnny and I are still discussing 10 different things at one time.
I would have come into Riverside tonight, and I just see a pair of skeletons with their little glasses and outfits on, as they surely would have perished without my guidance.
What are you guys talking about? What were we talking about again?
No, that is the definition of the loonies running the asylum.
So, we are back. Hopefully there's no more illnesses that beset us. Because man, yeah, that was twice in the course of a month, and you know, our attendance is usually pretty rock solid. So, fortunately, not too much was going on, and it also afforded me some time to really get going in the gaming department. However, before we get going, welcome in. This is episode 149 of your Power Gamer podcast. We appreciate all of you listening to us through good times and ones of poor health. Even though we have been absent, you keep listening to our show. Fantastic. Toxic Tales seems to be a particularly popular episode that people tune into for inexplicably long periods of time on all platforms. So for the hundreds of you that still listen to us while we were gone, we thank you. And we hope to do better, goddammit. At least I do. As long as I'm not dying, I guess the show will go on. So thank you for tuning in. If you're checking us out on YouTube, go ahead and like that video. Subscribe, why don't you? I say it every week, but I see the same 100 or so come in, forget to like it, forget to subscribe, and then 100 or so disappear. And then you come back again the next week and you do the same thing. So at least you've got one step down. Let's see if we can't get that other. For our listeners on audio platforms, thank you for everything that you do. We appreciate your support immensely. This past week, a dire picture has been painted of the green glowing Titan in distress. All I've heard about in the games media the past week is about our beleaguered beweathered and beaten friends at Microsoft and their Xbox platform, and how we may be on the precipice of the end of Xbox as we know it. People have been losing their collective shit over Xbox. I personally have found this a bit strange, and I've looked at it with a skeptical eye. Seemingly overnight, Xbox went from chugging along happily in third place. I don't think there's any debating that. To everyone thinking the sky is falling and that Xbox are about to pull the plug on making consoles or having exclusive games, how quickly the Titan has fallen just after purchasing ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard King. It's kind of happened ironically quick, on the backs of a few rumors that have come out regarding a handful of games that are somewhat old, like Sea of Thieves, which suddenly everyone's very concerned about it coming to PlayStation, even though it's been out since 2018. And games like Hi-Fi Rush, a game that's made by a Japanese developer, the same developer that made our beloved Ghostwire Tokyo.
And Evil Within.
But does not have any presence on a Japanese console. I have to say, we saw the press release that was the knee-jerk reaction from all of this rumor milling. Old Phil Spencer gets on Twitter and says, "We hear you, Xbox. We hear you." And he comes on and does a podcast, and he gives his answers. And they're exactly the same answers that you all have been given. Basically, since I can ever remember Phil Spencer existing. Everything's fine. We have 4 games we're thinking about bringing to PlayStation. They're all older games. And his hints about them, it's pretty easy to put together what games they are. It's Sea of Thieves, the professional pirate griefing simulator, released in 2018. On the Xbox One. Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, and Grounded. Those are going to be the 4 games. It's not Halo. It's not Gears of War. It's not Forza. It's not Fable. It's definitely not Starfield. Here's what I have to say. I am a bit fed up with you predictable bullshit YouTubers. You all do the same thing. You make that same stupid fucking face.
That was really good.
And then you slap your stupid face image over top some graphic that you stole from a reputable news site. Then you write some outlandish 4-word clickbait title in large yellow text. Then you push your tinfoil hat narratives that are completely baseless as a total industry outsider and whom know nothing about the industry. I'm rather proud that here we focus on what we know and we stay in our goddamn lanes. We like games. We talk about games. We're console agnostic. And the fanboyism, frankly, it's pretty fucking stupid. Phil was Phil. He didn't give you any clarity. And honestly, there's no reason for him to. Xbox is doing what Xbox has always done. They're not in trouble. They're making money hand over fist with their Game Pass service and selling video games. They're fine. Not to mention, I don't know, they're owned by Microsoft, who has enough more money than fucking God. The only thing I've learned this past week is Microsoft's inability to communicate like human beings, which continues in perpetuity, basically. They always have sounded like PR robots, and in the interview they gave today, it was no different. The second problem that I've learned this week is that the general public seems to think that the only way to win is by making people buy consoles instead of just making money with your games, with your software, and with your services. I think Xbox is doing okay, guys. I don't think anything changed over the past week where a couple of rumors started spinning around about titles they own going to other platforms where what are they going to do? Oh, that's right. They're going to sell them. And they're going to make money that they weren't making. So they're just making money. We all had some time to look at this. I'm going to kind of pass this around a little bit. I feel like, Johnny, that my stance on this is not the common thread that's being tossed around out there. And I'm not typically someone who stands for Xbox at all. I'm definitely more of a PlayStation guy.
Same.
But I don't know. How do you see this? I mean, you've kind of been following this as well. It felt like over the past week that they were, at least the way things were being reported, that these guys were in serious trouble.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think it just shows how reactionary the media is nowadays. The moment there's anything that could potentially be perceived as bad or negative, oh my God, Microsoft's going to allow some of their own exclusive titles to come out on a Sony console. This must be bad news. But I mean, all they're doing is the exact same thing that Sony did with their titles when they released them on PC. They went, you know what? We're done making money off of Horizon Zero Dawn. The well's dried up. We've stopped making money off the game. So we're going to put it on PC. And that's, God of War. We've sold all the copies of God of War that we're going to sell. We're going to release it on PC. This is no different. Xbox is going, all right, Grounded, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush. This isn't bringing us anything on the Xbox anymore. We're still going to keep it on the Game Pass. That's fine. But let's see if we can move some units on the other console. But I think with how many subscriptions they have right now, the fact that they have many other sources of income, and Xbox is nowhere near anything that could be considered even at the top end of what they do. I mean, this Xbox is the toenail of Microsoft. It is shit in income and expense compared to everything else that they do. So it's not this big arm that's gonna falter or fall. And in my opinion, where they're at right now is they're really truly playing the long game. I mean, all these companies that they bought, and they're saying, well, they're not going to be exclusive. They're not going to be exclusive. Dude, fast forward 10 years from now when Call of Duty comes out on Xbox 12 or whatever, and now it's exclusive on the console, and you have to get it on our service. It's not going to be available on any other service. That's going to happen. I think Xbox is still, although they're clearly losing this console war, they're going to be in the video game sphere for a very, very long time.
Certainly not. I mean, they seem to be poising themselves for the inevitable future that everyone is going to be facing, that things are moving into the cloud. Mike's having fun with his Backbone, which is a controller that turns his phone into a gaming system that connects to these services. There's not a clear picture of what the future looks like, honestly. And I mean, Cam, I know for yourself, you play a lot of games on PC. You do cross over into the console spaces, more so with the PlayStation 5. probably because of its exclusivity. But I guess, what is your take with Xbox? I mean, Game Pass kind of meets gamers where they want to play, whether it's on their console or whether it's on PC. How do you where do you think they're at? Do you see them being in any kind of trouble?
I have to be honest with you. This entire topic, I care as much about this topic as I do about whether Phil Spencer uses his left or right hand to jerk off. I literally just don't fucking care. I don't care about clickbait. I don't care about any of it. They're not going anywhere.
No.
Like, who fucking cares? Honestly, Phil, do you use your left or right hand? Please tell the world. We all need to know. We really don't need to know. I really don't. I don't care. Like, they're not going anywhere, and I don't get upset at clickbait because honestly, it's smart marketing when it comes to content creation. Good for them. The people who do it and get people to click on it, fucking more power to you. I have nothing against that. But that's bias because I'm like, wow, I wish I just don't have it in me. I can't do. I can't. I'm like, or this one, right? I can't. I don't have it in me, right? Which is probably why I have not succeeded on YouTube. Okay, fine, whatever. So I don't have anything against that. I don't have anything against all the speculation, people jumping all over everything. I think it keeps things interesting because personally, it'd be so fucking boring if everybody was like, that's not true. Right. And then like that was that. I don't know. I kind of like all the fucking chaos that goes on around it because it's like, what the fuck would we talk about? You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, fucking do it. Put those stupid fucking bright yellow letters up with your fucking crazy face on your YouTube and do all that stupid shit. But as far as like where Xbox is going and what they're doing, I think it's smart. I think it was nailed with the whole concept of we're not making more on this, and not for nothing, but Sea of Thieves. Yes, professional griefing simulator. I played a shit ton of Sea of Thieves when it came out, and I can tell you right now, over the past week, all I have heard from people who don't have a PC and who don't have Xbox is that they cannot wait to play Sea of Thieves on PS5. So many fucking people I can't even describe to you. So they're going to do great. They're going to do great with Sea of Thieves on PS5, albeit people are going to realize what it is really fast. And the rest of the games, I mean, Grounded's a really cute little game, whatever. I don't know that it's going to do really well on PS5 and whatever, but I think Sea of Thieves is going to do really well, and I think the trolls on PlayStation are going to love it. And all the sweat hogs are going to dig it. And Xbox is smart and Microsoft isn't going anywhere. That's it.
Yeah.
And I feel like today was the perfect little window of what the future is going to look like when we're no longer buying consoles. Once everything's on the cloud, right? So they came out and were like, yeah, we're it's time for us to sort of not retire these titles, but let others enjoy in those titles. And then what was the next announcement that they made on Twitter? That Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass.
They did that in the
when we're in a world where
I know it's painful to watch that whole 22-minute thing, but they dropped that at the end.
I mean, I guess so. That's kind of my.
I couldn't do it. No way.
It was rough. But I mean, but you have to think about when we're in that world where all that matters is which subscription am I paying, and you go, holy shit, Diablo 4. Oh my God, with all the titles that they own, all these Activisions and ZeniMax and Bethesda and everything, I mean, I think when we look at these subscription services 5 years from now, they're going to realize that there's a different console war going on, and I think Microsoft could come out on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, they're positioning themselves to do what I would say is the best that they can do. Considering that their whole strategy is to sell subscriptions, honestly. It would be stupid to not also take those same games and put them on a marketplace where you can charge dollars for those games. If I'm leading Microsoft, I would take every single game that comes out and I would put it on PlayStation. And say, if you want to buy a la carte, great. we'll take the 3-to-1 PlayStation owners buying our games a la carte at $70 a piece all fucking day long. And if you want to pay $15 a month to have everything, you can do that from your gaming PC, or you can spend $200, $199 at Sam's Club and take home a fucking Series S and do it that way if that's what you would rather do. So I think it's brilliant, honestly. Their whole marketing ploy is going after a part of the market that is not being addressed this way by anyone else. I just wish they would take it the next step further and say, yeah, we're serious when we say we're going to meet players where they play. I fucking hate that saying. Phil Spencer says it every 5 seconds. We're going to meet. We want to meet players where they play.
You're not welcome into my house.
Kim, to your points, like, I agree totally. One of the things, though, with my my shots at the clickbait YouTubers is I agree with you. It's totally fine for people to do that because, yeah, they're making money doing it. Fuck it. People are dumb enough to sit and watch that bullshit. Somebody might as well get paid for it. The thing that I want people to keep in mind, and why I'm happy to not really associate with that, is anyone who engages in that kind of activity, the moment you make that video and throw it up on YouTube of Xbox is going to stop making consoles, that's great. You're probably going to make plenty of money off your video. But from that moment forward, you can never say fucking anything and expect anyone to take you seriously.
That's not true.
I think it's 100% true.
Absolutely not. There are tons of idiots out there.
Well,
that'll still take them seriously.
I guess, sure. From the audience standpoint, yes. But if that guy ever wanted to talk to somebody that runs something that's real in the media and does actual coverage, they could never say anything to me.
Well, the thing is, though, too, you have to remember, so clickbait is, so they might have the title up on the video, and I see this all the time. They'll have on there, Xbox is going to stop making consoles, right? But then if you watch the video, it's them saying that that's the dumbest thing they've ever heard. They're not going to stop making consoles. Literally, that is
the
clickbait.
old bait switch.
Yeah, that is literally what clickbait is.
A lot of the things I saw this past week, combing through the old YouTubes and Twitter, of course, is people saying this is it. This is the end. They're going to stop making consoles. They're not going to have exclusive games anymore. It's why we're here. We're not here because of people flip-flopping. We're here because this got so out of hand that Phil fucking Spencer had to take out of his time out of his day to address it head on. Because people are nuts and think they know things that they don't know.
Yeah, the echo chamber just kept reverberating until the fucking glass broke. And the thing is that we'd be having a completely different discussion if they'd said Starfield's coming to PlayStation 5. Indiana Jones is coming to PlayStation 5. Halo Chief Master Collection and Halo, the new Halo that's coming out in 2 years. If that were the event, it'd be a different story. We'd be having a conversation of maybe they are just going to be software and subscriptions, and maybe that's just what they're going to do. But I mean, the fact that, once I saw the list of games, I mean, the first thought I had is who gives a fuck?
Granted,
Hi-Fi Rush and Grounded and Sea of Thieves, I get it. People that have never played those games, that don't have a PC, they only have a PlayStation, good on you. The games are cool, but it is not like a major changing of the tides because Microsoft is going to sell Sea of Thieves.
Just to reiterate as well, that is the speculation. Microsoft did not address. I mean, for all we know, they're going to release Viva Pinata.
I fucking wish with my whole goddamn heart. One of my favorite fucking games. God damn it! But it is on Game Pass Ultimate apparently, but Trouble in Paradise, but the original one isn't. And I've been begging Rare once in a while. I tweet and I ping Rare, and I'm like, "Hey, I see you put out Sea of Thieves, Viva Pinata style. How about putting a new game out?" No, it's not. I love Viva Pinata.
Not to completely derail, but what the fuck is Rare up to?
Sea of Thieves.
Is that really just all they're doing?
They did that in the Rare collection. But yeah, it's they're a Microsoft owned studio at this point, so it's going to be few and far between.
Right.
Anyway, I just wanted to address that. That seems to be all the media has been talking about this past week.
I literally heard none of this until today, by the way. That shows you how little I pay attention to stuff like this. I am not even kidding you. I have been like literally this has been my bubble. You ready? Skuyll and Bones has been my bubble. I'm not even because there's been so much behind it, like creator wise. That's literally been my bubble. And so I have looked at nothing else outside of it, which I'm totally okay with.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, Twitter's been melting down for about a week now.
Honestly, though, and this is important to recognize. Now, if you're sitting here listening to the show, you are not this person. But most people are Kim. Most people are. Most people don't even know what a first-party title fucking is. You know, they have no idea. They see like Viva Pinata, they'll see a Viva Pinata game come out and they're like, "Oh, that's first party." Well, no, that was just Rare back in the day that made a game for that console. Or they'll see Stellar Blade and be like, "Oh, well that's got to be made by Sony." It's like, "No, that's not made by Sony." Because most people don't give a fuck. They just see the game, where can I play it?
Wait, I know where games are made and stuff. I look
and
all
they
that
buy
stuff
it and
up.
go. That's it.
I'm just saying this topic. I didn't even know all this was going on.
But I'm saying is most people don't know or give a flying fuck. You know, this stuff's all just afterthoughts and noise for people that pay close attention to the industry. And it was all much to do about nothing. But I'm glad it's over, at least for now. We'll see. Something will happen, and next week Sony's going to be going out of business. So we'll.
You know what it is? I think that's why. I think like a lot of this just flies right under my radar because until something is like solidified, I literally take it with a grain of salt. And my thought process is I have so much jumbled into this brain, right? Johnny, you understand that, right? I have so much going on and jumbled into this brain that like something will come out that's like a could be, and I'm like, well, who fucking cares? I'll worry about that when it's a will be. Like, who fucking cares?
You have to deflect it until it's.
That's literally that's how I am with 99% of things that literally fly past me. I'm like, well, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Because until it's solidified, I really don't care.
I will say I'm a little concerned with Sony's comments on their console. Mike, did you see they're saying that they're into the later cycle of the PlayStation 5?
It's been around for a minute now, sir. We're over halfway through the cycle.
I also feel like when somebody says, you know, the year 2000, I feel like it was like a few years ago. You know what I mean?
Well,
But I mean, for the first 2 years the console was out, nobody could even fucking get one.
The other thing to take into account with Sony is that the base PlayStation 5 is very close to at the end of its cycle because we know that the PlayStation 5 Pro is coming, which is going to be a big step forward for that thing and its power. And you know, you'll probably see a reduction in price of the old console, very much like we did in the PS4 era. It's basically lockstep on the same schedule. So we'll see. The new exciting system coming out is going to be our next offering from Nintendo.
Super Switch, baby. They got to call it Super Switch. Mike and I have been saying it for years. They have to name it the Super Switch. Yeah,
that sounds like Nintendo. I don't know. That sounds like some sort of porn title.
Nah, it's old school, dude. Nintendo Super Switch. Fuck
Cube.
That. They need to call it the Super Switch. Don't call it the Switch Pro. Don't call it the Switch 2. It's got to be the Nintendo Super Switch.
The Squee.
Gotta be.
I hope they call it something really
the
dumb just to
Squee?
fucking give you guys a good episode. I hope they call it something like the Switch Extra Ultra Mega.
I mean, I think we could all agree that the Wii U was the stupidest fucking name for a console in the history of all video games. I can't think of a single console that had a dumber name than the Wii U.
Was pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Bro, did you see the new Wii U? Oh, fuck yeah, I love
I don't know
Wii
that it was
U.
dumber, but I think Ouya was on par. I think
Yeah, it's
up there.
on par.
Yeah.
Moving on to my favorite part of the episode each week, it is time to do none other than talk about the games that we've been playing. Kim, as promised, I'm going to try and drain that battery while I still have some life over there. So we're gonna start with you here. What have you been playing this week?
I have some battery left. I'm good. Okay, so this week I thought for sure I was gonna finish Fractured Butthole today. And
You're close.
I didn't. Instead, I streamed for I'm literally on the last fight, but I was so drained and frustrated with that last fight because I feel like I love the story of the second one. I love the characters. It's super fun. I feel like the combat in the second one takes away from the game. It's too much. The combat in the first one was so perfect because it was just sweet and simple and but still complex, but not overly complex. And I feel like the second one, the combat just kind of like takes away from the game. I like all the silly stuff instead, having to use a hose to fart into to clear the pathway and shoving a gerbil up your ass and then throwing it at an electric wire to short it out. Like, give me more of that, you know? I don't want the combat. I don't want combat to last a half hour. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, it definitely wore me out. I was like, nope, I'm coming back to this with a fresh brain because I am done. I was that last fight was so disheartening and just so frustrating. So, but as a whole, I'm really,
but as a whole,
as a whole, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Walked right into it.
Yeah. I've also been, I'm in a rabbit hole, guys. I'm in a rabbit hole.
I see the list is so much shorter than usual.
I came back to Warframe and I have a spreadsheet.
Oh,
I am like back in the Warframe rabbit hole. And I wish I could say like, yeah, it's all right, you know? Oh, I am just loving playing Warframe again. I'm disgusted with myself with how much I want to play it. I popped on before stream to see what was in my foundry if Zephyr was already done, right? I am just completely hooked on Warframe again. And I can't say I'm upset with myself. I really can't because I am honestly loving it. And the community is just stellar. That community is absolutely fantastic. I'm loving it. I don't know. Did either of you play Warframe? I don't remember. I think I asked you that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've played an evening.
I remember sitting in my old house and that stupid ad kept flashing on my PS4. Ninjas play free. I'm like, ninjas play free? What the fuck? What in the?
It worked.
What kind of marketing was that? Ninjas play free. I don't personally know any fucking ninjas.
Silly.
And
so
yet,
silly. It's a really
me, so maybe I am a ninja.
Yeah. Yep. It's amazing. Like you literally do not have to spend a dime on that game, and I think that kind of blows my mind. Like you can. I have friends who have.
People spend tons on it.
But people spend tons on it. But you literally do not have to spend one single solitary dime on that game, and that to me is really badass. And I'm having way too much fun with it. And then I have the shortest list this week, and that blows my mind. But for good reason. So Skuyll Bones had their open beta, and it was a big event for Ubisoft partners. So we were able to have the open beta. We all gave drops for the open beta. And then Ubisoft provided us with the premium edition of the game. So we were able to start playing on the 13th instead of the 16th. And along with that, there's an extension that creators, that the Ubisoft partners have, where you can you join you fly for a certain flag, right? It's either Europe, North America, Asia, or I can't remember the last one. I picked Europe. So you fly under these flags, and people use the extension to either repair your area or to attack the other areas. And whoever wins, you're gonna get extra cosmetics and stuff like that. So, but you have to stream for 2 hours from the 13th until the 20th. You have to stream for 2 hours every day or every 48 hours. And if you do that, they're giving us these codes that we can give. We have a code that can be used 200 times for other cosmetics, a red panda, stuff for the ship, all that stuff. So Ubisoft has been amazing when it comes to giving their partners so much stuff to give their communities. It is so cool. So I've been going nuts on Skuyll and Bones and having so much fun on it. And yes, I laugh maniacally when I'm attacking. And I actually had a really, really cool experience. So I was streaming on both Twitch and TikTok. TikTok has been a wild ride as far as streaming, because that's where you get all the people who come in and they're like, this game is trash. And of course, I'm like, well, why are you here? Go play a game you like. I don't know what to tell you. And so there was a PvP event, and I was like, okay, guys, if you want to see how the PvP works, I can show it to you, because there's an event going on right now. So I enter the PvP event, and I go after, I catch up. The guys, you can see them coming down the map, right? Because they already picked up the map. And so I'm going to cut them off, and I get to them, and their ship is gigantic. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. There's no way I'm going to do this. But I'm like, screw it. Let's go. We're going to do it. So I'm firing on them, and they're firing on me, and we're going, and they're turning, and I'm turning, and we're going crazy, right? And then I see the green circle come up, and I'm like, oh, they got it. They got it. They did a good job. And I pulled away. And then in my chat, somebody goes, that was me. So one of my viewers had run into me, and they realized it was me, and we had this epic battle, and they came afterwards, and they were like, I wish I would have given you this map, because I have no idea where this treasure is. So it was just a really cool experience. It was so fun to run into one of the viewers as they were literally beating my ass. I was almost dead. So, but it's been really fun, and I'm really looking forward to more of it. And the year one roadmap is amazing. Yeah, so that's been my fun.
I got a copy of Skuyll and Bones, so I've been able to play in the early release period here, which ends tomorrow. Everyone can get in on Skuyll and Bones tomorrow. Man, what a mixed bag this game is for me. It's really, really well done. Every moment that takes place out on the ships is just gorgeous, and the mechanics for the naval gameplay in it are great. It feels a lot tighter than I expected. But man, every moment that takes place outside of that ship is just fucking terrible.
Well, there's not much that takes place outside of it, really.
One of the things that's kind of, I don't know that it did the game any favors or not, but it became so clear to me when I first logged in that, this isn't kind of an MMORPG. This is such an MMORPG, because the first moment I logged in, for anyone that played WoW ever, the day that a new expansion comes out and you log in, you're in an area with 1,000 other people that just logged in, and you're all running towards the same objective together and talking to the same guy at the hub, and there's this big crowd around this one dude that's like, "Raw, you need to go get me 8 pineapples and bring them back here to this location, yar." And so it's
that's so funny, because I didn't have that.
You were in
at all.
the open beta. I'm on the pre-sale launch, and it's fucking that. I'm like, so the moment I logged in, I'm like, oh shit, this is like World of Warcraft shit. this is an MMORPG. And so I think I played it for like a really solid amount of time for me and all the other stuff I had going on this week. I played it for about 6 hours. And I mean through and through, like the questing and everything, leveling up, trying to get to that end game. It's more fun than a traditional like old school MMO like WoW is. I mean, you're running around on a ship fucking blowing stuff up, but like your life in the hubs and everything, I think it'd be so much easier to explain to people if they're like, yeah, when you're not on the boat, you're in fucking Stormwind. Like that's what this game is. You're there. And anytime you leave Stormwind, you're on the boat and you're doing pirate shit. So with that better understanding, I'm like, well, the game's interesting and there's no way anyone would ever confuse it with Sea of Thieves. You know, is somebody going to be like, oh, Chivalry 2 is not as good as World of Warcraft is? It's like, well, no, they have dudes with swords and that's about fucking it. They're completely different styles of games.
You have no idea. I've gotten people, I've had the easy end of TikTok. I've been in my friend's TikTok streaming this, and people have been ruthless. I've had, for the most part, most of the people in my TikTok, and I think it's because of my personality, I'm not very nice to people who don't deserve me to be nice to them. And so people come in and they'll be like, Sea of Thieves is greater than Skull and Bones. And I'll literally be like, they're two different games. Go play Sea of Thieves, get the fuck out. And then Pike will mute them. End of story. So like, I am not nearly as nice. I have friends who are like, yeah, I can understand, you know, that. And I'm like, they're two different games. It's literally like saying Elite Dangerous is better than No Man's Sky. They're literally so different. Like, what? Why? Because there are pirates, you're going to compare them? I don't even understand.
Right.
I am like,
yeah, like this,
baffled.
It's
and then
MMO.
The other thing, sorry, go ahead.
All I was going to say is like, game is a traditional MMO RPG, period. Like that is what this game is.
Yeah. And then the other thing that has blown my mind with it is people coming in and saying, oh, you know, I'm really upset there's no hand-to-hand combat. And I'm like, not for nothing, but everything that they've announced about the game, all of their ads, I mean, maybe years ago when they first announced it, something may have been different, but everything in the past year and a half has been naval combat, naval combat, naval combat, naval combat, mercantilism, sea battles, sea creatures, naval combat. And people are like, I can't believe there's no hand-to-hand combat. They never said there was going to be hand-to-hand combat. Like, why are you? I don't understand. It's different if a game comes out and is not as advertised. No Man's Sky. But, like, this is literally how they advertised it. It was about the time
of No Man's Sky's beleaguered original release that Skull and Bones last, I think, mentioned having hand-to-hand combat. You know, it would have been that...
And that was a long fucking time ago.
The game got completely scrapped and rebuilt 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, so no, I think they did a good job communicating what was coming out on this. It's just they didn't do a good job driving home that, guys, this is an MMORPG.
I think they tried to, but I think that's not what people wanted. Black Flag 2. People wanted a realistic Sea of Thieves. But the people who saw Skull and Bones for what it was advertised for and watched it over the past year grow and all the announcements and the year 1 roadmap, everybody who saw that and said, yes, this is what it's going to be, we're all thrilled because it's quite literally what it said. So like, it's baffling to me, the number of people I have who are like, and then I have people who really want to be haters, back to that whole Ubisoft hater thing. I had somebody in particular, in TikTok, there are so many more questions being asked than Twitch, right? TikTok, everybody's like, what about this? And what about this? And what about that? And I think because Twitch is more gamers and TikTok is people who kind of want to play games, right? So I had somebody ask, well, you know, what kind of game is it? And I'm like, it's literally an MMO. And they were like, yeah, but does it have like, you know, where you can go do a quest and other people can come help, like just people get together and help? And somebody in the TikTok chat was like, no. And I'm like, yes, what do you mean? Like, you literally, if I'm going to do the sea monster, I can literally ping it and ask for help. And everybody on the server gets a notification that I asked for help. And if they wanted to, I went today. Somebody pinged for help with a plunder because they were struggling with it. I went to go help with a plunder. I didn't know this person. I didn't have to join up with them. We just helped on the plunder.
It's very
And
similar
so
to
it's
World
like
of Warcraft and fighting world bosses.
it's very much an MMO. It is very much an MMO, and people who were not paying attention are not happy. People who were paying attention are fucking thrilled.
I thought it was fun. Some the flaws that I will point out beyond the fun.
Facial hair.
Well,
facial
sure.
hair
Let's
is
skip
so
to
bad.
character models. Let's skip to character models. If you search, does everyone remember the character models from the first Mass Effect game? They're pretty bad.
Yes.
These ones are worse, and it's 2024. Like, if you pull up some character models from Xbox 360 Mass Effect and put it next to your character in Skull and Bones, particularly if they are male, they for some reason do a better job with female characters than male. Oh my god, man.
I don't know, man. Pike's character is definitely better looking than my character. Like, his is like modeled better than mine.
But I mean, in terms of its fidelity, it looks worse than shit I was seeing 10 years ago. I hope they address that, because it's pretty unexcusably fucking bad. And I mean, in these kind of games, that's a big part of it. You know, you spend a lot of your time customizing your character and grinding for cosmetics and things. And when you turn around your character, Captain Weirdbeard looks like a fucking fish that's fallen out of the top of the ugly tree and hit every branch on his way down. You'd pop him up like next to, you know, that weird looking Commander Shepard that you made in the character customizer for Mass Effect 1 and go, yeah, I'll take my weird Commander Shepard over Captain Weirdbeard here.
I'm trying to find video because everything is Legendary Edition.
Yeah, I mean, which it isn't that different. It's the same character models; they're just up-resed. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, but outside of that, it's like everything that happens off the ship, the way your character moves and like kind of floats after you've let go of the controller. Just some weird stuff on
Oh, see, I don't play with controllers, so I wonder if that's like a controller thing, because I don't have that at all on mouse and keyboard.
I mean, it's still going to be there on a mouse and keyboard, but that kind of floaty movement feeling is something I'm really sensitive to on games, and it's easy to spot because honestly, a lot of Ubisoft's games have that. That's been horribly present in the Assassin's Creed games for a long time, and you can feel that same system, and that it's just not been optimized from a technical standpoint any better in this game. So it's honestly good that most of it does take place on the ship, that you only have to deal with that when you're in the hub world. But it would be nice, considering the importance of that hub and your character, if those things could be addressed sooner than later in Skull and Bones. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, it's not going to get any points for having a riveting story. It's an MMO, as they normally won't. That's not why you're there. So I'm having fun with it.
The voice acting's fantastic, by the way. Voice acting's really
I'm having
great.
fun with it. I'm gonna play it, you know, here and there. But you know, I think it's about as good as you could expect for an Ubisoft-backed pirate MMO. You know, it's better than most. But it's probably not going to take any game awards or things like that, because its deployment, its overall technical build and thing, it's good, but it's not anything special. But I am having fun with it, and I think they did a much better job with it than anybody thought they were going to. Johnny, it looks like you touched on it as well. Did you have anything to add in there before we move off of Skull and Bones?
Yeah, anytime there's an open beta for something that I'm just curious. I mean, I've mentioned several times I don't think this game is for me, but I said, hey, open beta, what the fuck? Why not? We hit install and fired it up, played it for a couple hours, killed a few sharks, rode around in my dinghy. Noticed that there was a fist fight happening on every single island that I landed on. And I don't know, about 2 hours in, I was like, yeah, I'm done. This isn't for me. And I kind of knew that going in, so I am in no way shitting on the game at all. I looked at the trailer and went, I don't think I'm the target market for this game. But it's open beta. I wanted to check it out and see if it got its hooks in me, and it
That's
did
what
not,
I've been
so.
telling everybody, because the biggest question I get on TikTok is it worth the money? And I'm like,
It's like, it's open beta.
that
Just
is
go
such a
install it. Just play it.
subjective question. Like,
Mhm.
for me, with the play style, the game, the things I'm doing in it, the everything about it, yeah, for me, if I had to buy the game, I would not have regretted it. For a second, I've been having a blast on it. I've been putting so many hours into it, and it's so fun, and I'm really loving it. If you're looking for story-based RPG, if you're looking for hand-to-hand combat, if you're not into naval combat, no, the game's not worth it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's that's such a subjective question. It's such a bizarre question for me. I don't know. Like, so weird.
Johnny, let's
Right.
keep digging into your list here, as me and Kim have gone on
Sure.
for quite a bit, and I'm curious to hear
Yes.
about the Suicide Squad.
Me too. I want to know your take.
Okay, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I was really excited about this game because I had alpha invite, and I played the alpha, and I was really impressed with what I saw. And I have really enjoyed my time with the game, and I think the best review that I can give for it is that I rolled credits on it about 4 or 5 days ago. And last night I was about to go live, and I was like, well, what should I play? I'm about to beat this game. Maybe I could start that game. And then the realization occurred, I just feel like playing Suicide Squad. And so I went live and I played Suicide Squad for like 4 hours and was grinding through the end game content and taking on these challenges at higher and higher difficulty levels and stuff. But it is still a little disappointing that they decided to make this game a looter shooter. I think Rocksteady is better than that. And I think if this game were a 30-hour single player romp with some co-op availability there, I think you could be talking about one of the better games this year. The in-game cinematics are some of the best that I've ever seen in a video game ever. I mean, these are like God of War Ragnarok level cinematics. They're really fucking good. The banter between the characters, like, I've laughed out loud at this game more than almost any other game I've ever played. It's really smartly written. The characters are really well fleshed out. And I've just been having an absolute ball with it. And the further I got through it, a thought occurred, and that's that we've never really had a superhero shooter, right? Crackdown comes close because you're literally jumping buildings and climbing up skyscrapers and shit. But in the very beginning of the game, the Suicide Squad breaks into the Hall of Justice, and they have this like museum area where they have all these different Justice League knickknacks up, and they start breaking in and stealing these pieces, and that's where nearly everybody gets their traversal from. So Captain Boomerang finds a Speed Force gauntlet that he can wear, and he wires it to his boomerang so that when he throws his boomerang, he can activate the Speed Force gauntlet and move like the Flash 100 feet that way, or 100 feet straight up in the air, or 100 feet wherever the fuck you throw your boomerang. You can then press a button and you will zip right to that spot. That's his traversal. Harley Quinn steals a Batman drone that she attaches her grapple hook to. So her traversal is, you can jump off any rooftop and hit your grapple button, and she will swing on it like a rope, and then you let go, and then as soon as you can see the corner of a building, you can hit your grapple button, and just like any of the Batman games or the Spider-Man games, you can grab the corner of that building and go fly up there. So the traversal for all these characters is really fun. When you're playing single player, if you're out of a mission, you're about to start a mission, you can switch independently for any of these characters. You can load out any of these characters. You can choose who you want to focus on. But it is a little bit of a letdown that it's a fucking looter shooter. It is kind of a letdown that, like, you're invested in the story and you want to see where it's going to go next, and how are we going to be able to take on Flash, or how are we going to be able to take on Green Lantern? And the answer is, well, we got to hold these 3 capture points. And then when we're done holding these 3 capture points, it's going to say mission completed, and we're going to get a loot drop, and we might get a legendary shield, or we might get a and it's just, Rocksteady's better than that. So I'm going to first, I always have to preface any review that I give on a comic book property. I am heavily biased on comic book shit, period. Whatever my number is, you can probably deduct a point, but I'm going to give Suicide Squad an 8. I really fucking liked it. I keep going back and playing it more and more and more. In the little image they gave at the end of the roadmap of shit that's coming, we already know that Joker's coming. And in the post-credit, they showed an image of 3 additional characters. One of them looked an awful lot like Mr. Freeze, and the other looked an awful lot like, who's the other Deadpool-y guy in DC? Deadshot? No, Deadshot is in the Suicide Squad. Deathstroke. So I think they're adding 4 more playable characters to this game, and they're going to keep adding content to it. So unfortunately, at the end of the day, I think this is going to be Avengers all over again. It's going to be a game that I'm over here in the corner going, it's awesome. The campaign's great. If you fucking play it, it's a whole lot of fun. And they keep adding content to it, and they're not charging any money, and nobody gives a fuck. And because the sales and the player numbers for this game are abysmal. And I think it was kind of DOA because they decided to make it a looter shooter. And I think that if Rocksteady had stuck to what they know and made this a very, very tight, 20, 25 hour single player campaign, I think we'd be in a completely different conversation. But I do think that this game walked so that another game can run. There is a place where a superhero shooter should exist. For what the amount of fun you have when you notice that there is a sniper on a skyscraper 2 football fields away, and you're playing King Shark, so you do your charge up jump, and you jump 100 feet up in the fucking air and mow his ass down with a heavy, and then look down and go, oh, there's 5 bad guys down there. So you do your barrel roll power up and splatter them all into blood and guts. The game is just a fucking blast to play.
It's interesting because I've been watching it, but I watch my buddy RTM every morning. Revealing too much, we've talked about him. I watch him every morning while I'm getting my work done and doing other things, and so I'm always looking over, and then I'm listening to it, whatever. And I didn't know that it was a capture point, it had moments like that. I thought it was more of a Borderlands type game, which I think would also have worked well. I didn't know that it was I didn't know it was like that because I've never just sat there watching in a long span. Yeah. So I'm kind of surprised. I also saw that they lost, I guess because everybody finished the campaign, but they lost 90% of the player base on Steam. Hasn't been playing.
So here's what's weird. My achievement for beating the game, it's 20%.
Oh. And it's short. It's a short game.
So there's I mean, I beat it in 12 hours. So there's a lot of people that just fired it up and went, oh shit, I don't know why I got this. Or maybe they're waiting for new content. But
it's one of those games that I have zero interest in playing. None whatsoever. But I was watching RTM play it, and I was like, I could understand why people would want to play this. It looked like a lot of fun. It's too much for me in terms of but I know you can turn a bunch of stuff down, but to me it was it was a little bit too much in terms of I don't know. I felt like there wasn't much I like the cutscenes in it and stuff like that. But
the missions are very, very arcadey. So what I mean by that is there's this type of mission where Gizmo, who is on your team back at home base, is working on improving the vehicles. So this is a vehicle mission, and the mission's going to start, and he is going to airdrop a vehicle out of the sky, and once you're in it, you have missiles and machine guns, and you fly around the map in this flying car and blow a bunch of shit up. And the whole fucking mission is vehicular combat of just blowing shit up. And then once the timer on that vehicle is done, you got to jump out of it. And he's going to drop more cars down. You got to go take another one. And like, but they're fun. Like, as silly as it is, as much as I wish Rocksteady didn't go this route, I still pull up the map and go, oh, it's one of the hostage ones. Okay, these are fun. That's fine. Let's go do this. And like, I'm still leveling up my character and like getting new gear and like trying different builds. And like, I wish they hadn't made it a game as a service thing. I think they're better than that. And I think that's what really holds it back. But other than that, I really did enjoy my time with this game. And I haven't
I'm curious to see where it goes. I hope it's not an adventure. I know people want it to fail. Like I see people saying all the time.
Right.
I hope it doesn't. I really hope that.
Yep.
I don't know. I hope they can figure it out and keep it going. Because I know a lot of people who love it. So.
Well, I'm going to keep on plugging away at it. Next up in the list, I have taken down my third Prince of Persia game. So in my death march through all of the Prince of Persia games, I've now taken down Prince of Persia Warrior Within.
That is a feat,
Prince of
ladies
Persia
and gentlemen.
Warrior
That
Within.
game fucking
That's a feat.
sucks.
That's a feat.
That game
That's
is
a feat.
awful.
The combat in Warrior Within is a big leap forward beyond Sands of Time. The combat is a lot better. Unfortunately, I'm sad to report that every single other aspect of the game is far, far worse. The story is lacking. The amount of backtracking you have to do in this game without any direction of how or why you're backtracking. I remember there was one specific instance where I needed to get to the throne room. So I tried this path and that didn't go where I needed. So I tried another path and that didn't go where I needed. I tried another path and then I got to the hallway where I'm above the walkway that goes to the throne room. And I overhear a conversation and then I turn around and I have to go back the way that I came. I'm like, I went fucking all the way here to watch a 10-second cinematic. And now where the fuck do I go? I don't know. The map is awful, and I will also add, this game has my least favorite enemy to play against in the history of all video games. There are these jumpy ninja assassin bitches that say slutty shit to you while you can't fucking hit them, okay? You will spend all day dodging and swinging, and the whole time they're jumping over your head and jumping behind you and rolling around you and jumping on your back and jumping over you. And then the whole time this is happening, they're going, there's so much pleasure in the pain. It's so fucking
literally forgot about that until you said it. That was so
they're
perfect.
awful. The pain is exquisite. I'm not here to hurt you. They're so bad. Like they're the worst enemies in any video game ever. Ever. They're awful. They're fucking irritating to fight, and the shit that they say is obnoxious. And god damn, dude. I enjoyed like my first 50% of this game. Then that last 50% was just like forcing myself to get through it. It was
I don't
really
remember
so
it being
bad.
that bad, but I think probably because the last time I played it was when it was out, and I was having so much fun scaring the shit out of my daughter with the haka. So like,
I'm sure it was the shit in 2004, but it's shit in 2024.
Yeah, I don't know that I can get through it in 2024.
Prince of Persia Warrior Within is as if they scraped a shart out of Soul Reaver's underpants and called it a different game.
Yep.
So bad.
Well, even the character feels like a completely different character. There's not a single moment where he feels like the same character from the Sands of Time. And then the music, like the shitty, like early 2000s heavy metal, like everything sounds like Godsmack. It's so bad.
You know what I'm excited about, Johnny?
It's really fucking terrible.
We never have to talk about this game.
What's that?
Ever again.
No, Warrior Within is done. And
that's it. Completed,
no, this game needs a remaster really bad. So now I'm gonna move on to the Two Thrones. I'll start that probably tomorrow. I also started back up on Immortals of Aveum, and I am very happy to report that my first sit down with this game was incorrect. I am very much enjoying the game. The story is picking up. the powers that I've added to my roster are greatly improved. So my first like 3-4 hours I sat down with this game, I remember Mike fucking roasted me for shitting on it because I was so early in the game, but I really was unimpressed with my first session with the game. My second session went a lot better, so I'm actually looking forward to playing this game. Lastly, Oxenfree. So Oxenfree 2 came out on Steam. I picked it up because I really enjoyed the first one. The moment I fired it up, I got about 30 seconds into Oxenfree 2 and I went, I don't remember anything about this game at all. I remember that I really enjoyed it. I remember that it was really short. So maybe I'll just go back and play the first one. So I think I'm now about halfway through the first one. And anyone that's not familiar with this game, it's a sort of a point and click adventure side scroll, pretty cool art style, but it's a little creepy. It's kind of a ghost story, and one of the mechanics in the game that's really neat is that you have a radio on you at all times, and there are certain landmarks that will let you know that you should tune to your radio at that point. And what's happening is your radio is picking up ghost signals and showing images in the world. So you start unraveling the adventure of who is trying to communicate to you and why. And so the second one just came out, and I bought it sight unseen because I really, really remembered liking the first one, but I then decided I need to actually go back and play the first one. But anybody that likes shorter sort of stories like this, I remember the first one's like, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours.
Oh, I thought it was longer than that. I have the game and I've always wanted to play it, but I thought for some reason it was going to be way longer.
No, you could sit down and knock it out in a stream.
Can I though?
And it's a really, I don't know. You do get chatty. Mike says no.
It'll be like a month.
But no, I mean it's a cool game and it's a great story, and I remember like the twists and turns and payoffs being really good. And now that the sequel's out, I really want to get through it. So I might actually beat Oxenfree tonight because I think, like I said, I think I've taken a good chunk out of it. I think I'm probably about halfway through. So if it's midnight, I might be able to knock it out tonight. We'll see.
Man,
that's it for me. What about
been
you, Mike?
A busy boy with my COVID-19. Wonderful what you can get done when you're stuck isolated in your house. It was just like back in the day when video games were selling like crazy and all these gaming developers were over hiring. You know, now that all these poor folks are being laid off because people had to go back to work and couldn't just sit around and play games all day. What did I play? Well, guys, I'm glad you asked. I finished Final Fantasy VII. No, not the remake, the 1997 release of Final Fantasy VII. I have completed. Which means I am poised and ready to take on the remake now with the game freshly on my mind, which is what I was going for. And yeah, I mean it's an all-time classic. There's not much to say about Final Fantasy VII. It's a perfect JRPG. It's very JRPG-y. And I'm curious to see what changes are made in the remake now, as I've not had really any of that spoiled for me. So don't want to spend too much time on that. I'll be able to give some better perspective as we play Remake and Rebirth this month. On both of your stalwart recommendations, more recently Kim's, I decided to jump in and actually take down Alan Wake. I played all of Alan Wake. I played it to completion. And, you know, it's just a wonderful, goofy little game. It's not very challenging in any way, shape, or form. It's just a nice walk through the woods where every once in a while shadow people jump out and try and fucking murder you with axes. I really enjoyed Alan Wake. I mean, this is the kind of game that I get into and that I like. And the remaster I thought was very good. I know a lot of people, if they're going to take an issue with anything in the game, they take issue with its combat. I actually quite liked the combat in the game. I thought it flowed very nicely, and
I had one issue.
Worked well for me.
The fact that running and dodging.
You know
were
what's
the same.
weird? And this might just be all of my Souls experience. I had no problem with the dodge mechanic in this game. I was dodging like fucking Neo in the Matrix every time somebody tried to swing at me.
Dude, what do you mean? He goes
It
like this.
slows down though. If you do a perfect, you get the slow-mo. And I'd get slow-mo like
Ate it.
every time.
Hated it. The second one, I liked the dodging. First one, I hated.
It was
The
really
story
it was really
in that
well
game
done.
is so good.
So Alan Wake
Love that
Remastered,
game.
you're a good game. I'm not going to bother to score you because you're old and that time has passed.
You're old and awesome.
So I get done with
Like
Alan
us.
Wake Remastered and I said, well, you know what? I'm on a roll here. Getting ready to play Alan Wake 2. I bought it when it was on that crazy sale on the Epic Game Store. I'm like, people tell me I need to play Control also before I get into Alan Wake 2. So guess what, guys? I fired up and played to completion Control, and I did play the AWE DLC, as I figured that was the one that I needed to play that was going to tie in more to Alan Wake 2. Control is a really interesting game that has just a really perfect story. You can tell the same care that went into Alan Wake and its story was put into Control. And then, yeah, of course, in the AWA expansion, you see how intrinsically connected they are. And it's done at that caliber that I like, that we see in other great story spinning games, such as Horizon. I thought Control did a really great job with that. I really love the building as a character in Control. Control is a sneaky Metroidvania in the truest sense. I mean, it's a 3D Metroidvania game, which is great. I mean, that the building is the building. It's an open. It's not an open world. It's an open building. It's just like the castle in Symphony of the Night. It's just in a 3D setting. The verticality in the levels, especially when you unlock the levitation, is absolutely wonderful. It has frenetic combat, very similar to I'll compare it to a more recent game, to Returnal. The combat is very present in this game, almost overly fucking present in this game. This game has more combat than it needs. Because every time you leave an area and you save your game and stuff, you come back to that area and these fights are long as fuck. And they're not interesting because you're fighting. That's fine. You're
them.
fighting the same like 5 or 6 enemy types max. This game really needed more enemy types than what they put in it. Because especially for how many different ways they give you to kill the enemies, there's more ways that you can kill an enemy than there are types of enemies in this game. Like, and honestly, of all the different types, 4 of them show up 99% of the time. And that was kind of lame. And it made doing the combat over and over and over and over again just not that much of a thrill. And the other thing that kind of bummed me out with the combat was there was never like any climax to the combat. There was never really a boss. There'd be like a souped up version of one of those 7 enemy types that you'd have to fight every now and again. Which kind of made the ending of the game. I don't know if it's fresh in your guys' minds from playing it. But the very end of the game, when you're back in the space and it's red and you're jumping to get to that end spot for that big moment with Dylan, and you're just fighting the same trash mobs. You're going to fight trash mobs, Johnny. There's no boss coming. It's just trash mobs.
I was thinking about this because we had this conversation about the combat. And I think I figured out why I love the combat so much. And because the sound of the combat, just the sound of it made,
whenever you pull an item,
made
I love that sound.
my bizarre little wired brain go burr. The sounds, I could listen to that all goddamn day. I think that's why I love the combat. I didn't even pay attention to the fact that there weren't many enemies. Like, literally, I was like, you in my little world of wow, these sounds
and
are
it
great.
doesn't help, like, especially as you get towards the back end of the game, every fucking one of them is a bullet sponge. So you're just shooting and shooting and shooting. And you're like,
I know.
please
So
stop. I just want to see the story and be done with this. So yeah, it's a mixed bag for me on Control, because it's like the combat is good, but it's like too much of a good thing to the point where it kind of ruins it. That's my take on it. It was overdone. The more fun parts were like when you'd get into the motel and like, oh, it's a different puzzle this time, and interacting with the different characters around the bureau and reading through the files. Oh my God, reading through the files is the best. There's
so
just way too
fun.
much combat, and it's not interesting. It's not. And they also were really punishing for when the only times I died in combat a couple of times, but more often than not, when I would die, it's because like I fell off a ledge or something, and they throw you so far back when you fuck up. So it's got good things to it. It's got bad things to it. Overall, I think the things that are good are so exceptional. It lifts the game up. The story is exceptional in Control. It really lifts the game up. The environment is exceptional in Control. It really lifts the game up. The combat mechanics are exceptional, but the execution of the combat drags the game down. Still worth a play. It's still really, really fun. You'll probably need to take some breaks unless you're just whirring on the sounds. Control is a 7 out of 10, which is a very good mic score. To round out what I've been playing, obviously we talked about Skuyll and Bones at length. It looks like I'm the only person on the Helldivers 2 train.
It's on my list. I think I might end up
I'm
getting it.
so on the fucking
Yeah.
fence, man. I'm doing one of these.
That's how
on the
I
edge
am
of the cliff.
too, Johnny. I am.
I
All right.
really want it, I think.
You both know that I'm not much of a multiplayer gamer. I definitely was in the past, but it takes something special. It takes something unique to grab my attention when it's a multiplayer game. Helldivers 2 might be the best multiplayer game that I've ever played in my life. Its combat is rock fucking solid. The interface in which you interact with your boys or your girls that you're going to go in and play with is great. The progression system to get new loot and new items, it's all baked in. You find so much of just the premium fucking currencies and things just laying out in the world while you're doing your missions. It's so much deeper than you could understand until you sit down and play it for 10 minutes. Yet there's this whole pull in the universe of how much you've liberated different sectors, and every mission you go on means something. And is it the bugs acting up, or is it the fucking Terminators acting up? It's wearing its Starship Trooper influence all over its sleeves, but there are so many ways to play this game. The levels of customization in it is absurd. And it also mechanically does things that other games just straight up have never done. You have a whole list of different things that you can use, different abilities, different things that'll launch down from your ship while you're on the ground fighting. Say some heavily armored tank from the machines rolls in, or some bug that's got heavy armor. You go, oh, well, that fucking sucks. Oh, wait a second. Let me hit this button. You dial in a code like a phone pad with your D-pad. It's fucking awesome. That shows up on the screen. So you dial in this code, and then the ship marks its beacon, and like you can drop down rocket launchers so you and your boys can come over and grab rocket launchers and take down this tank, or maybe you're getting swarmed, you orbital drop machine guns down and grab them, or maybe you just want to fucking nuke their asses. Cool, your ship can drop those too. So it is out of control how good this is. I can't believe that it's a $39.99 release game. I also think that this game does a great job at proving why Sony is smart to have this new policy of releasing this game, which is one of Sony's self-published games, not just on the PS5, but on Steam, where it is fucking killing it. The concurrent players on Steam for this is mind blowing. Honestly, it's outperforming Apex Legends right now. This game is huge, and it's huge for a reason, because it is one of the most fun games that you are ever going to play. It's so easy just to drop in, play a couple matches, drop out. It's really fun. It's really well done. It's taken every single person by surprise. There was no noise being made about this game before its release. And now that it's here, it's like crack, man. It is so good. I think Helldivers 2 is actually going to be in conversations, legitimately be in conversations about being a game of the year, because it's so fresh. It's so unique what they're doing here. And it's perfectly well done. So definitely check out Helldivers 2 if you haven't yet at $39.99. There's really no excuse not to. It is a perfect game. You're welcome. And I will play it with you anytime that you want. I swear to God. I will play it with you anytime.
It's funny because
that was all I needed.
Pike and I have been watching it since it was announced. And Pike's been wanting it because he loved Helldivers. And so what you said, how it's unique and refreshing, I guess that's something I wanted to know, because just from what I've seen of it, yeah, it had like these extra little things, like put numbers in and put the arrows up, down, left, right, whatever. And I'm like, well, this is just a cleaner version of Starship Troopers or Alien Fireteam, right? And so... Right. So I love that you said that it's like unique and fresh feeling. And it's funny. What I find funny is you're going into like all these complex things and all these different things about it. And what really, at first I was like, I don't think so. What pushed me onto the fence was RTM telling me that you can kill your friends. And I was like, there's friendly fire? I think I might need this game, because
you accidentally throw your orbital strike where one of your friends is running. Yeah, they're dead. But here's what makes it work so well in Helldivers is that those fuck ups don't fuck up the fun. You just call in that you want to redeploy them right after you fucking accidentally killed them. That's it. It's not a big deal. So nobody really ever gets that mad when accidents happen. So you don't have to deal with like, I can't believe you killed me. No, they're right back in the action in 5 seconds.
I'd be playing with a full squad anyway. I never worry about that. And they're all used to it from me and Pike.
It's really a perfect game. It really is. Finally,
all right.
The game that I've been enjoying the most that I've been playing this past week. It took me way too long to get to this because I've been excited for it for so long, but I'm like 10 hours in on Blasphemous 2, and this is one of the best Metroidvanias I've ever played in my entire life. The changes that they made from the first Blasphemous into this game are tremendous. And Blasphemous was not a platforming game. And I love platforming Metroidvanias, ones that have that element in it. This has some of the best platforming, just hands down, ever. So the big change that they made in Blasphemous 2 is the introduction of having 3 weapons. You have a fast rapier and dagger, you have the standard sword, and then you have this big fucking fuck you unga bunga mace that does amazing damage. But besides the combat of playing with those 3 weapons, each one has a different traversal technique. The rapier and dagger, there's different mirrors throughout the world that have a reflection angle, and if you slap them with the rapier, you teleport forward from where that mirror was pointing. So they'll have like sequences of mirrors that you're dashing through while timing jumps and moving. That's awesome. The sword can cut through these doors made of human tortured bits, like from the old Doom game. But you have to have height to get the momentum up to cut through the bodies that make the door. So you'll have to find ways to traverse up high and slice down through, or drop next to a door that is vertically opposed. And then the big fuck you Unga Bunga mace can hit these bells. And when you hit a bell, you see the sound form emanate out from it. And little platforms where there's like these little pieces of spirit energy will start popping up and appearing that you can jump on while that sound wave is moving through. And so it kind of introduces you to each one of these mechanics while you're playing Blasphemous 2. And then it starts combining them into this dance of perfection where you're slapping a mirror with the rapier, then having to switch quickly to your sword so that at the apex of where that mirror teleported you, you can slide down and slice through a door. And then as you slice through that door, there's maybe a bell 20 feet below it. So you need to switch again to your big fuck you Unga Bunga mace and smack the bell so that as you finish your fall, a platform appears that you can land on, and then you traverse from there into maybe another sequence. It's so good. And the combat is just rock solid. I really can't say enough great things about Blasphemous 2. If you are in to Metroidvania style games, this is definitely one to play. They toned back the difficulty of Blasphemous 1 a lot and made it a lot more manageable to play. I recently played The Last Faith, which I said, man, The Last Faith feels easy compared to Blasphemous. This game feels easier still, but the traversal and fun that you're having has been amplified way beyond anything I expected. So I'm having a lot of fun with Blasphemous 2. I think I will probably finish that here in the next week. That wraps up what we've been playing. Guys, we did it. And my voice is only now finally starting to cut out from Mr. COVID. So I did good.
And I didn't fall asleep.
Closing thoughts. Johnny, you're muted. Closing thoughts. We'll start with you. You seemed eager to speak there, Johnny. Okay, great.
Helldivers will be done downloading in 30 minutes.
It's a little late. Nah, we might be able to play something tonight. Kim, any closing thoughts from you?
I may put Helldivers on my Kofi goal.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of fun with it.
it.
My final thought comes from Valentine's Day. We're one day removed from Valentine's Day, and what me and my Valentine did was we watched Dix the Musical.
I need to see this. You sold me.
Folks, you need to watch Dix the Musical. It is the funniest shit I have seen in my entire life. It is a musical about two brothers.
Dicks.
That are absolute dicks. My favorite lyric from the song, from the musical so far, and I quote, get ready for some fine poetry reading of these song lyrics as we wrap this week's episode.
Okay.
Quote, my cock is fucking massive. It always makes the ladies sore. It's 10 inches long, curves to the left. Then it goes 10 inches more. I got girls and cash, cars and booze. I'm the cream of the fucking crop. There's never been a man like me, and I'll always be on top. You need to check out this musical. It's out of fucking control. Because the irony of it is how horrible and misogynist those lyrics are. The main characters are intentionally portrayed by two gay actors who are just making absolute fun of how men behave. And they're doing it. They can't even keep a straight face while they're doing it, which just makes the musical even funnier.
No, I've seen the trailer for this, and I was immediately like, I have to watch this movie. This looks fucking.
You need to watch
That-
this
that
movie
sounds
and get down with
amazing.
the Sewer Boys. As soon as you find out about the Sewer Boys, your life will change forever. I promise you that. The Sewer Boys
Okay.
will give you trauma. Yes.
Are those the guys in the cages? Yes, I've like I said, I've seen the trailer.
You need to watch this.
I have a lot.
Johnny,
of
you need to watch this with your wife. She will fucking love this. Please watch Dix the Musical. If you're I think we watched it on
Is
Max.
it streaming anywhere?
If you are an easily offended Christian, do not watch this. I think the final musical piece, I think the name of the song is God is a Faggot. So you might not want to go there.
I'm gonna tell my ex-husband to watch
I
it.
approve.
If that's something that's going to bother you. Because God is portrayed by a very gay man, and his clerical robes are covered in dicks. So just be warned.
That sounds perfect.
Awesome.
This movie is fucking hilarious.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap it for this week's episode of your Power Gamer podcast. We will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode of the show for you to enjoy. Till that time, I'm Mike Dawson.
I'm Johnny
I am
Pollock.
Kim. I'm really missing Pixel Boobies Ponticello.
Tune in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip flop.